And we're back.
So,
This is Hook and Ladder. We are week 14, about to be week 15. We went a little early, midweek action this week because there's so much going on and
lots to talk about.
lots to talk about.
Today's National Signing Day, early signing day. So big movements there. We'll talk about that later on.
That's right. Let's get started. Friday, November 28th. Indiana knocked off Purdue 56-3. You see any of this one?
No, and I was thinking about this before we started. I haven't watched a ton of Indiana. I watched a little bit of them play Penn State. I watched pretty much the whole game. They played against Oregon, a couple of games early in the year. But because they don't play a tough schedule and they're kind of kicking everyone's ass like by halftime, like I kind of tune out and watch another game that might be more competitive. I don't just watch the top-ranked teams. There are other games I watch that have interest to me, especially with a weekend like this, Rivalry weekend. There are games that both teams might be unranked, but growing up, that was a huge rivalry, so I tend to check them out. Don't really see Indiana-Purdue as a giant rivalry.
No, but it's kind of funny that Indiana and Purdue is kind of like a Indiana-based matchup.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really hear too much about it. I think mainly... honestly, like if both teams are kind of like mediocre, like they kind of have been, you figured if it was that huge a rivalry, you'd hear something about, it's not like the Paul Bunyan Axe game. It's obviously not like the game and stuff like that. But, still Indiana did what I expected them to do against a team like Purdue. Yeah. And they're 12-0 going into the Big Ten Championship on Saturday evening. They finally get a night game in the Big Ten.
That's right. Well, how about Texas A&M against Texas? Texas knocked off A&M 27-17. Bit of upset there.
Yeah, then I kind of felt A&M was laying an egg. The first half, they were up at halftime, and it was kind of like, all right, I didn't think they were playing very well, but they were making some plays. They just kind of couldn't really sustain drives. Yeah. Texas defense is really good. Yeah. But then second half, Texas really came on and just overtook them. And I was really disappointed in Texas A&M. It was almost as if they were like, we're 11-0. Mm-hmm. We're in the playoffs regardless. Let's take it easy. But that's kind of stupid because a win puts them in the SEC Championship, which they've never even played for before. That would have been historic for them. But I got to give Texas credit. They needed this win. They needed this badly just to stay alive in the playoffs, and they got it.
Yeah. They got a favorable playoff projection yesterday. It was kind of interesting. Marcel Reed hurt his knee. I think they kind of juiced him up in the tent and sent him back out there.
And he didn't look like everything was right, but, I didn't think he looked all that good before that happened.
Yeah. No, maybe he gets a little bit of a rest and heal up a little bit. Georgia knocked off Georgia Tech 16-9. Georgia did not play as well. They lost Bobo out for the season with a broken ankle, foot, whatever.
I heard it was some kind of bone issue in his like the top of his foot, where it was more like a pain thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you could kind of like Novocaine the guy's foot. He plays. I don't know. I've heard that before, where guys get hurt, they can't do any more damage to it, but it's going to be extremely painful. Yeah. But yeah, this was easily, in my opinion, the worst game Georgia's played all year. And they ran the ball very well, but I think the offensive coordinator, Bobo, Drew Bobo's dad, I think he got a little pass happy. Things were working well, and he decided to throw a pass, and it kind of like gummed up the works. Yeah. They're up, what was it, like 13-3 or something like that, at going in the second half to get the ball, and they run 3 straight pass plays. Yeah. And I'm like, get a drive together, put a drive together, score some points, run the football. Georgia Tech couldn't stop them running at all. But then Bobo goes down, and I think, Ernest Green came out, and I think 4 freshmen out of the 5 starting offensive linemen, and they just really weren't running the football well after that. But credit the defense. Tech couldn't get anything going. It was a miracle for them to get the damn field goals they got. Georgia's defense held them. I would say midway through the second quarter, I was kind of like, Georgia Tech's probably not going to score a touchdown this game.
Georgia's defense is really starting to step up and solidify.
Are. Yep. Pass rush is coming on.
Yeah. Secondary is starting to play well. Ole Miss knocked off Mississippi State 38-19 in Lane Kiffin's last game.
Yep. And the whole day I kept thinking, like, or at least during this game, I was like, this is all for show. He's going to announce he's coming back. Mississippi's going to give him whatever he wants. He's going to come back. And as the day kind of wore on, we kept hearing during the game on telecast, I'm like, all right, gonna let the AD know tonight or first thing in the morning, So I'm thinking like 8 a.m. at the latest, right? Didn't hear nothing till later in the day, but I kind of started feeling on Saturday night, or Friday night rather, he was going to go.
Dip out. Yeah, it was fun watching some of the video of him boarding the plane.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Maybe we start talking about all the coaching changes because there were 5 coaches that were named head coaches, and I think 4 of them were in the SEC.
Yeah, so crazy things are happening. Utah knocked off Kansas 31-21.
They knew Utah needed this to kind of stay alive. Don't think it's going to happen for them, but they needed it.
Yeah. Arizona knocked off Arizona State 23-7. You see any of that game?
No, but they just flipped the number 1 JUCO offensive tackle. They just flipped him from Georgia to Arizona State yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Yeah. So big recruiting win for them.
Yeah. Hey. All right, here you go. Ohio State finally beats Michigan 27-9. It's the first time in 4 years they actually won this game.
Really wasn't that close, but I'll tell you, in the first quarter, Michigan's running the football fairly effectively.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this can't possibly happen again. And then Ohio State kind of took over the second quarter with the Jeremiah Smith touchdown, which controversial as it was, I thought, they called it a touchdown on the field. It wasn't enough. The whole rule, if there's got to be irrefutable evidence, and there wasn't. Yeah. So I think it was good to be upheld, but it was a good game. Yeah. It wasn't a crazy blowout. I thought Michigan's defense played well. That offense isn't good. Yeah. They're 12 games into the season.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, Bryce Underwood's only a freshman. By this time, no.
You've seen enough field time.
How many times we watched the Georgia game together? Yeah. How many times did they say in the telecast that these freshman offensive linemen, you can't call them freshmen anymore?
Yeah, they get too much playing time.
They've got all this practice and games under their belt. By this time, technically he's a freshman, but Underwood's had plenty of time, and he just doesn't look good. The guy, I thought he was supposed to be this crazy dual threat guy. He couldn't really escape.
Yeah.
The pass rush of Ohio State, when he did kind of escape the pocket, he'd run for like 3 or 4 yards and get tackled. Yeah. And I was expecting some kind of like game-breaking ability. Yeah. Just not seeing it.
He's a freshman. Still a freshman.
Yeah, I just, at this point in the season, I expected to see a little more from him.
Moving right along. Texas Tech knocked off West Virginia 49-0. Texas Tech is playing some really good football right now.
They are. They're a shoe-in for the playoffs. I think they're going to win and cover against BYU, the rematch in the Big 12 championship game here this weekend.
All right. Oregon knocked off Washington 26-14.
I watched most of this game. Yeah. Good game. Washington's a good team. This is a bigger rivalry than people have given it credit for. It's not something that's talked about all the time, and it is a heated rivalry. Mm-hmm. Both teams are pretty good. 8-4 Washington, that's not bad. There are a couple of games that got away from them, this one included. Mm-hmm. But I thought Washington played well this year for the most part. They'll go to a decent West Coast bowl game. Yeah. Probably that game that they got, I forgot what it's called now. The one down there in Vegas that's been pretty good last few years rather. So a good West Coast team that's really not going to make the trek down to Florida or anything like that. But a good game, Oregon needed to do, did what they needed to do in this game. Fairly dominant effort defensively. Mm-hmm.
So Oregon poised to get a good playoff season.
Yeah, I think it's not guaranteed, but they're definitely for lack of a better term, they're on the short list to get a home playoff game.
Yeah. Things shake out right. They could be getting a bye. Mm-hmm. They are 6 right now. Oklahoma knocked off LSU 17-13.
I watched this game. I have such a hard time seeing how LSU's offense is so inept. They've got talented guys. Yeah, the offensive line is banged up and they're young, but they got talented guys everywhere. How is Nussmeier not a better option than Van Buren in that game?
I don't know.
He's got all that experience under his belt. Brian Kelly getting fired, I think killed him. Mm-hmm. NFL draft, NFL draft does, their projection-wise, what they can do with a kid. Yeah. But, he was hurt. He was hurt a good part of the year. But these last couple of games, I really felt he should be in the game. Last game of his career, and he's on the bench. Yeah. I don't know. I thought maybe he might have given them a better chance to win the game than Van Buren did. They were in it.
That's right.
Oklahoma scored a late touchdown. How they tend to do. Their offense is almost as inept as LSU's. They both have great defenses. Mm-hmm. But Oklahoma needed the win to stay alive in the playoffs, and they got it. So I would say they're pretty much a shoo-in, and they are a shoo-in. They're definitely in.
Notre Dame knocked off Stanford 49-20. Notre Dame just keeps on winning.
Where do you get off Notre Dame? Letting Stanford score 20 points on you.
Yeah.
Stanford is one of my most hated teams. It is what it is. It was a late game. I kind of wanted to stay up and watch this game, but I didn't.
Yeah. Speaking of late games, Alabama knocked off Auburn 27-20. Close game.
It was, and so we live down here in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And amongst SEC fans in our area, you've got Georgia fans. Obviously, you got Alabama fans. You got Auburn fans, Florida fans, LSU fans. And where we live in Georgia, there's fans of virtually every SEC team.
There's a melting pot here.
A lot of Clemson fans, a lot of Florida State fans. You got Georgia Tech fans, a lot of ACC people as well. It is unanimous. People believe that the SEC helps Bama. Mm-hmm. Knowing that if Alabama loses this game, not only are they out of the SEC championship game, but they're out of the playoffs. Yeah. And when Alabama needs to drive down the field for a go-ahead touchdown to ice the game, there was a couple of real bad ticky-tack calls. Now, they called penalties on both teams throughout the game, but when it came down to crunch time, there was that third and long pass interference that I thought was not even remotely close to pass interference. The late hit, low below the knees, I get it. It's the rule. The dude was falling down. He was running, kind of got hit, was falling down into Ty Simpson. I kind of feel in that situation, if they kind of get hit by an offensive lineman and start to go down, how can you call that? And they did. That was, I think, a fourth down?
Mm-hmm. It was third down.
Third down. Yeah, one of the penalties was on fourth down. Maybe that was the pass interference. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean Alabama's losing the game. At that point in time, it was tied 20-20. But Auburn had some momentum, and Auburn was making some pass plays, and they were dropping passes. They were fumbling, yet they were still making some pass plays. Mm-hmm. But Alabama wins. Give them credit. I think they went for 3 fourth downs, maybe 2 or 3 on that final drive, including the touchdown. They could kick the field goal and won 23-20. Yeah. They went for the touchdown and got it. Yeah. So hats off to them. Big sack there from Kalen DeBoer. But I just couldn't help but feeling that no matter what happened, they were going to find a way to help Alabama win that game. Yeah. And talking to people on Sunday and Monday, everyone's like, yep. They all all the Auburn fans, it was like they had hope. 2 years ago, the same shit happened to them. It was 4th and a mile, and Jalen Miller just throws up a prayer and it goes for a touchdown. But in that game, there were moments that Alabama got bailed out. Mm-hmm. So I know it's just not like me being crazy. Other people think this too. Yeah,
there's conspiracy tied to that.
There is, and like we said, where we live in Georgia, it's a melting pot. There's a lot of different fans, not only of SEC but ACC, and they all kind of agree.
Yeah. But Alabama's still alive. They take on Georgia this weekend.
Yep. And even if they lose, they're going to the playoffs. The committee already said we're not going to penalize somebody for losing a conference championship game. They're the SEC's number 1 seed. Yeah, there'll be 3 losses, but I think it's inconceivable to keep them out of the playoffs.
I think the more I think about it, the more I think if they lose, they're out.
I don't know, man. I think these games are all just for seeding. I can't remember when conference championships have meant so little. At least the Big 12, BYU needs to win to get in. Yeah. ACC, Virginia needs to win to get in. Duke wins this game. They're 5-loss Duke team. Yeah. They're not getting in the playoffs. No. If Duke wins, maybe Miami gets in, but there's definitely a way that the ACC could get 1 or no teams in. Yeah. So some of them have meaning, but I think the Big 10, 2 12-0 teams. Yeah. One of them loses, they'll probably drop, depending on who it is, they'll drop to either 3 or 4.
Well, okay. Well, you got BYU, they're 11-1. They knocked off UCF 41-21. They played well this season.
They did. They played really well.
Their one loss was to Texas Tech, and they played them again this weekend.
Yep, they'll have a rematch, so we'll see what happens. I don't really expect anything different to happen the first time around. I think Texas Tech's going to have to turn the ball over a handful of times. Yeah. But, BYU, man, I mean, look, on the verge of being 12-1 in a Big 12 championship, or 11-2 in, maybe outside chance to make the playoffs, but they still make a damn good bowl game.
Yeah. Miami knocked off Pittsburgh 38-7.
Really disappointing performance by Pittsburgh. I expect a little bit more from them. I expected a Miami win, but I expected a little bit more fight from Pittsburgh. The whole Narduzzi, like, Notre Dame's not in the conference. Well, now you're sitting at 8-4, and it's a mediocre season.
That's right. Speaking of mediocre seasons, Vanderbilt knocked off Tennessee 45-24. Tennessee kind of fell off the wagon.
They did, and I'm not going to talk smack about Tennessee as a team.
Yeah.
I think their defense is absolute garbage. You can't stop anybody. Mm-hmm. They had a chance in this game if they could make a couple stops. They can't do it. And then it just kind of snowballed in the second half for them. Offensively, they're a pretty good football team. They've always have been under Josh Heupel. Yeah. They're always going to be under Josh Heupel. Can he get that defense going? There's always those, like Lincoln Riley's one, Steve Spurrier, although he had better defenses in Florida than most times. But a lot of times when you see these like innovative offensive coaches that have great offenses that put up 40 points a game, their defenses are lacking.
Yeah.
And that's the case.
Maybe there's just a little bit too much of a finesse culture.
Yes. And I'm not going to dog them too bad. Like I tried to say earlier, like they lost their QB after spring practice.
Yeah.
Joey came in, and Joey Aguilar comes in, and he's great. Better than what they would have had under Nico.
Yeah. First 6 weeks of the season, they were one of the better teams in the country.
But, I didn't expect them to be great this year. And then Vanderbilt, I don't think it's the best season in their history, but it's one of the best seasons ever they've had. Mm-hmm. And they're going to go, I don't think they're making the playoffs. They're going to go to a really nice Florida, most likely, bowl game. Maybe, I don't know what the bowl tie is. Maybe they'll do Peach Bowl or Sugar, something like that. Maybe, because they're the hot team. Everybody kind of wants to watch them. So it'll be a night, a bowl game would like to take them for the revenue.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they flipped Jared Curtis from Georgia yesterday.
Yeah.
Number one player number one quarterback in the country from Nashville. Yeah. Vanderbilt offered him a couple $1 million a year.
And he'll probably start day one.
And say, come start day one. At Georgia, you're going to have to wait at least 2 years.
Yeah. Minimum.
And he took the money and said, I want to play day one. And,
it makes sense.
It does. They're going to be crappy. Again, I don't think they're going to be anything decent the next couple of years. Yeah. So he's going to get a lot of playing time and a nice payday, and maybe he can show the NFL, I got a strong arm. I didn't win anything.
Yeah. And he's living in Nashville, so it can't be too...
Yeah.
Move right
There was
along.
a lot of, I don't want to call it conspiracy. There were a lot of different, like his parents and agent all wanted Georgia. Yeah. But he doesn't even live with his parents. Like someone's he lives with a girlfriend. So a high school senior just has an apartment with a living girlfriend. I'm like, how's that working? Yeah. Are they doing OnlyFans over there or something? But apparently the girlfriend wanted him to stay around, and on the message boards, everyone was like, well, Georgia, Athens has a lot of that. Uh-huh. And if you like that, what's better than knew that? Can't say it. I don't think we can say it on YouTube, but but good for him. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, moving right along. USC knocks off UCLA 29-10.
Yeah, nice rivalry there. Big win for USC. They're out of the playoff picture, but 9-3. They should go to a really nice bowl game.
Yeah.
I think the West Coast teams get screwed by some of these bowl games. There aren't enough good West Coast games, and most of them don't get the invitation because the fans don't want to travel. Yeah. They don't get those invitations down to the Capital One Citrus Bowl or the Cotton Bowl. They kind of tend to stay in some of those third tier bowl games on the West Coast. The one in Vegas, the name of it's eluding me right now, but that was pretty good. And I want to say the Cheez-It Bowl is played somewhere down there.
And you get the Poinsettia Bowl. Was that San Diego?
I think San Diego. I want to say cheese, and I could be wrong. Could be, but it's food.
Yeah.
Kraft mac and cheese, maybe it is. Making you hungry.
Yeah. And then what is it? The Pop-Tart Bowl or whatever it's called? Yeah.
I think Georgia Tech's called that bowl. I saw it today.
Moving right along. Virginia knocked off Virginia Tech 27-7.
10-2 Virginia Tech. They're in the ACC Championship. Win the game, you're probably in the playoffs.
That's right.
Got a really nice season.
Lose, and ACC may not get anybody, or Miami might fail on that slot. I don't know. SMU loses to Cal. I watched some of this game, and Cal busts out to like a 24-7 lead on SMU. SMU comes roaring back with like 3 minutes to go in the game. California just marches down the field, scores a touchdown, or kicks field goal, or whatever. Oh, they scored a touchdown. They couldn't stop them. Just kind of ran out of gas, kind of like SMU season.
8-4, a win gets them in the conference championship game, and they just couldn't make it happen. But going back a little bit to that Virginia Tech game, James Franklin was named the coach of Virginia Tech. Yep. He flipped, I think it was between Sunday and today. I want to say it was something like 12 Penn State commits flipped to Virginia Tech. So he's instantly just loaded that roster with quality players. He's going to have them, I want to say, rolling and competing, but they're going to be way improved next year.
Well, let's talk about next week's games. And we got some doozies for our hands. So right now you got Troy against James Madison for the Sun Belt Championship game.
James Madison should take that easy. They're 11-1, number 25 in the country. Yeah. Surprised that they're ranked that low or high, whichever you want to call it. They're 25. I would expect them to maybe be like around 15. Yeah. But they're having an amazing season. Now, their coach left too. Don't remember where he went. Didn't he already leave?
Yeah, he's gone.
And the same thing with the next game. The North Texas guy's already gone.
But I think he's coaching the game.
He's going to coach the game, all right.
Yeah.
So we got North Texas at Tulane. I don't know where the coach of North Texas went. Summerall's in Florida.
Well, he's rumored to go to Florida. I don't think he's actually.
He's there.
So I checked the CBS's deal, and they haven't announced it.
Because today he tweeted that they were like, let's get some Gators today for signing day.
Well then maybe it is official. But
he was rumored to go to Auburn for the longest time, and then Florida's a better job than Auburn, and Auburn kind of got screwed.
Yeah. So Saturday's matchups, the Big 12 championship game kicks off at noon. BYU against Texas Tech. I'm kind of leaning towards Texas Tech by a mile here.
It's like a 10 a.m. start.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. Yeah. I'm going Texas Tech big time.
You got Georgia, Alabama. That's a 4:00 start. That's the SEC championship game.
Here in Atlanta, the Benz Dome.
Yeah.
Where these two teams have played one national championship. And
countless SEC title games.
What? Yeah. This is the sixth SEC title game that they or fifth maybe. 2012, 18,
19. Was it 19?
No, in 19 they played LSU. It was LSU and Georgia because LSU won it.
That's right.
So it was 2012, 2018, 2021. In 2023, so this will be the fifth time they played, and Alabama has won all of them. In fact, I think Kirby's now 1-7 against Alabama. The one win being a national championship game. So, that's kind of a big deal.
I think law of averages would catch up with you.
You would, but I won't ever pick Georgia to win this game.
At this point, no.
I'm watching the Auburn-Alabama game last week, the Iron Bowl, and when Alabama won, I'm like, well, so now Alabama's going to be your SEC champion because I don't see how any way Georgia can beat them. We knew Georgia was in the day before because A&M lost, so Georgia was in. Alabama loses, it'd be Georgia Ole Miss. Alabama wins, Georgia Alabama. I don't really see how Georgia could possibly win this game.
See, here's my issue. Alabama has played pretty terrible the past probably month or so.
They played pretty terrible at the beginning of the year, but when they played Georgia, they're like the freaking Jerry Rice and Joe Montana 49ers.
You would have told me 2 weeks ago that Georgia would be playing Alabama. I would be like, Georgia is firing all cylinders. Defensively, they're shutting people down. You know what really bothers me about Georgia right now? That offensive line scares me.
Yeah.
It completely changed how they were playing against Tech. I don't know what they're going to do over the next couple of days to get ready for Alabama.
I think this is one of them games where Georgia's not going to be able to score, and Alabama's going to put up about 30.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're going to get a steady diet of Frazier and Bowens, and they're going to lean very heavily on there. And maybe,
they're going to have to.
And then, I don't know, crazy talk. How about getting the tight ends back involved in the game? The past 2 weeks, they haven't been doing that all in Athens. But let's move right along. There's a lot going on. Indiana against Ohio State. I think these are the only two teams that are guaranteed to bye right now.
Yes, I think either way, even the losers getting the bye. Yeah. In my opinion, Indiana's 2, they lose, they'll probably go to 4. Ohio State will go to 3. Yeah. Depending on if Georgia were to pull out a miracle, Georgia would probably move. They wouldn't move to the 1 spot, obviously, but they'd probably move to like the two slot. But I think Ohio State's going to win this game, and I like the team aspect of Indiana. They're a team. Mm-hmm. All these teams that are in these conference championships are teams, but there's a lot of individuals as well. Yeah. I feel that, other than Mendoza maybe, but Indiana's a team effort. Yeah. But I think the experience that Ohio State has of being there last year, being not in this game but in the playoffs, the experience of being in the Big Ten championship previously. With coaching staff, not just players. I think that'll give them the edge. Mm-hmm. I think there's way too much talent at wide receiver and tight end and quarterback for Ohio State. I think a couple of stops and Ohio State can kind of get rolling, and before you know it, a close game turns into like a 28, kind of like 10, 28-13 deal. And that's how Ohio State wins it, in my opinion.
47.5 is the over-under, is the expected points total. I think it's going to be over 47 points myself.
I think it will too.
Yeah, there's points going to be scored.
I think Ohio State covers the 4.5 spread though.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game.
I would like to. I would like these championship games to be close. I don't like them blowouts. We've had a couple blowouts before. In recent memory, Georgia blew out LSU. LSU blew out Georgia. In the SEC championship game, there's been, Clemson blew everybody out in the ACC championship game for years. I like these conference championship games to be close.
Yeah. Indiana, Mendoza might win the Heisman Trophy on Saturday.
Definitely possible. I think he's a front runner still.
Yeah, well, we'll see. In the last matchup of Saturday, Duke versus Virginia. That should be the 12 o'clock game, but whatever.
You got 2 of them at 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, who does this?
Yeah, it was not scheduled correctly.
No, it never is.
No, they could have done it. But the Big 12 championship game should have been Friday night.
And the SEC championship game is at 4.
Yeah.
The marquee matchup each week in the SEC is 3:30. Yeah. Why they make it at a half hour later? And then you got 2 games at 8 o'clock. At least make one game at like 7:30. The other one at 8:30, maybe. I don't know.
Well, the SEC championship game basically has that 4-hour block by itself, which makes sense. But the night game should have been Indiana, Ohio State solely.
Yes.
In this Duke game, Duke game could have been Friday night.
So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to watch the Indiana game in Ohio State on the one of the TVs. Yeah. I'm probably going to lose the other TVs in the house due to family being over. I'll have to watch the Virginia Duke game on my phone.
Yeah. See, when I was mentioning this, so this was done 2 hours ago, and then CBS Sports is, they got Lane Kiffin, they got him being replaced by Pete Golden.
Yep, just promoted Pete Golden. Good for him. Yeah. Charlie Weiss Jr. is going to stick around and coach in the playoffs.
Eric Morris, the North Texas head coach, is going to be at Oklahoma State. Yep. James Franklin, of course, at Virginia Tech. See what we got here. And Penn State.
Still don't have a coach.
And you were the first guy to fire somebody.
Arkansas hired Memphis' Ryan Silverfield, and he's the guy that likes to kind of like make fun of Georgia's being arrested. I think they play each other next year. Well, interesting how that's going to go.
So now they're saying Summerall is the head coach.
Summerall to Florida.
Yeah. That's a great hire.
It is a really good hire.
Jim Mora is the head coach of Colorado State.
Lane Kiffin going to LSU, and they got some decent recruits today. Some flips. They flipped a couple guys from Ole Miss. Alex Golish leaves USF and goes to Auburn. They retain or keep around DJ Durkin at defensive coordinator. They had a couple of good, not a lot, but they had a couple of good gets today. They had a really good defensive line. Texas lost 2 defensive linemen today. One went to Auburn. The other went to North Carolina. So Golish goes from USF to Auburn. Brian Hartline, the crazy good recruiter, wide receivers coach for Ohio State. I think he might even be, I could be wrong. Somebody let me know. Co-offensive coordinator? I could be wrong. Long-time Ohio State coach, an excellent ace recruiter, finally gets an opportunity. I've been saying that a Big Ten team should give this guy an opportunity, but maybe this is it. He goes to USF, proves himself, becomes a winner, and then maybe like whoever fires their coach, probably Michigan maybe, or maybe, I don't know, Indiana, if Signetti leaves. Who knows? Hartline comes back. Maybe Ryan Day goes to NFL. Hartline comes back. But Mark Stoops gets fired.
Yep.
Surprisingly, because I didn't think they had any money, but they bring in Will Stein, the Oregon offense coordinator. I haven't heard if he's going to stick around and coach.
I mean,
I know that they landed a couple of recruits today, some pretty decent players. I don't know whether he's going to stick around or not. Yeah. Brian Hartline, same deal. I'm not really sure if he's going to stick around. You would think, but Ole Miss didn't want Lane Kiffin sticking around.
Yeah. If you're going to be part of the team, you just need to leave right now.
And I remember when Kirby Smart got hired at Georgia, he stuck around and won a national championship with Alabama.
Yeah. I think every situation is different.
It is. A lot of it probably has to do with like how you leave. Yeah. The Lane Kiffin thing. I mean, dudes at the airport, all the students are lined up, giving the finger.
Well, Kirby, he was participating in the national championship game with Alabama. It's like, they all knew eventually he was going to leave.
Yes,
he had his dream job at his alma mater, and everything worked out. Lane Kiffin, when he's like, oh, we're not going anywhere. Next thing you know, he's on the next plane out of town.
I think he handled that
poorly.
Very poorly. But guys like Will Stein and Hartline and those guys, I mean, everybody kind of had to know they were gonna get an opportunity at some point. Most college coaches, that's the nature of the business. Right. They enjoy when they're one of their guys, their coaching tree goes and takes another job.
If it was handled, you start thinking like, Ole Miss has never been 11-1. They have a legit shot of winning the national title.
Yeah,
and for him to just bounce like that, yes, he's going to go to LSU and he's going to be given a war chest to buy whoever he wants. They're going to be a juggernaut.
Yeah,
and it's going to be on him. And at 5 years from now, Lane Kiffin isn't at LSU. Something he has screwed the pooch, or he has got run. I mean, you get run out of LSU.
I think he will be I think he'll dominate, but because of the money, the NIL money. Mm-hmm. But I think that he's going to bring about change in college football's pay for play. Yeah. What's going on now? But Penn State still doesn't have a coach. They were the first one, bless you, to fire their guy. They still have a coach. They wanted Kalani Sitake. He just said, "Look, I'm sticking around." There's a lot of schools that use the UAB Blazers don't have a coach. Obviously, Tulane hasn't replaced anybody yet. Replaced Summerall yet. So there's a lot more dominoes to fall, and today was early signing day.
Yeah. And to that point, say you got Penn State. Maybe the reason why they don't have a head coach right now is because they've already got their head coach. He's just on one of these.
He's still coaching. Yep. That's happened plenty of times before in the past. Doesn't really come out till later. Yeah. There's a reason, in my opinion, why the Brian Hartline, the Colin Klein from A&M is taking over at his alma mater, Kansas State, because the coach is going to retire. Yeah. So you had him and you had Hartline. I think there's a reason why those guys weren't announced till today, to make sure those big signees stick around. Yeah. So Ohio State lost one 5-star wide receiver today, but I don't think that had anything to do with Hartline. Okay. That was in the works of USC for a while. Yeah. The rest of them all signed. I think they had 3 5-star wideouts in this class. They all but one signed. So it really didn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. That concludes this week's episode, and we'll pick up again next week with figure out who's on the playoffs and who wins the championship.
Yeah, conference championship game Saturday, playoff selection show, 10 a.m. on Sunday. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, interesting week coming. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.